So, I am back with yet another episode of my podcast, The Best Version of You. And this is Dr. Ruchi Mishra Sharma for you. Who am I? What do I do? I am a medical doctor by profession, an ophthalmologist, and I am an international speaker, author, and a RTT clinical hypnotherapist by passion. But the main intention of this podcast is to be able to reach out to anyone who's feeling stuck, feeling that overwhelm of doing the next step, feeling like, oh my God, successful people are out there somewhere. I can't be that person. Mind you, when I say successful, I'm not saying the media or the social definition of success. What success means to you, what a successful, meaningful, purposeful life means to you, right? So, today, what we are going to talk about is this is the fifth episode of the podcast. Today, what I really want to talk about is confidence. We hear about confidence just about everywhere. It's so important. Yes, I agree to all of that. But what is confidence? Where does confidence come from? I would say self confidence is more descriptive of the term confidence because self, that is where the confidence comes from, just like self belief, self love, self acceptance. So the self plays a very important part. Without the self, you don't have the confidence. Because if we were looking outside for confidence, say if the confidence is based on what other people think of me, that is very variable. That depends on the people you are with and their moods and a whole lot of other things. So confidence needs to come from you. Again, confidence is nurtured by self-belief, self-love, and self-acceptance. How? You can't feel confident if you don't believe in yourself. You can prepare all you want, have all the knowledge, and I think that's where we come into the perfectionist zone of like, I want to be perfect, perfect, perfect. You can learn all you want, but if you do not believe in your own capability, confidence cannot exist. And again, so we are going on the hierarchy of confidence coming from self belief. We have already talked self belief comes from self love and self acceptance, which are profound. I've mentioned this in the previous podcast as well, but I think I'll keep mentioning it all the time so that it can reach to every single living person because that's how important it is. We live in a society and world where we are told to be kind and polite to other people, but not really taught how to be kind and polite to ourselves, how to have a kind and polite inner dialogue, right? Self love and self acceptance is profound at developing your confidence. Knowledge and skill base is important, of course. So first, let's go to the layers. When we talk of being the best version, becoming the best version of yourself, that doesn't mean it's out there somewhere. The hidden potential is right inside you. It has always been there. It's not going anywhere. Becoming the best version is kind of getting to it consciously and subconsciously, both ways. For developing your confidence, first you need to find out what do you need that confidence for? What is the area of your life that you need it the most right now? We always work on one thing at a time. Yeah. Working on 10 things at a time is not really going to take you anywhere. Let's start with, success. That is so important. All of us want to be happy and joyous and successful. I think as Jay Shetty says it right, success is possibly how other people view your life to be, but till the time you have happiness, joyfulness, fulfillment in it, it's not successful. Even if it is, what joy will it bring you? So, if possible, if you're not driving right now, I would really want you to kind of pause on the idea of what does success mean to you? What does a joyful meaningful, success, joyful, meaningful, purposeful life mean to you? What does it look like? It doesn't have to fit into any box of what it should look like, but what does it look like for you? Create a picture of that. How would you want your day to look like? How would you want your day to unfold? See, that picture of the day is very important because days become weeks, weeks become months, months become years, and years become life. So, your idea of how your day should look like is so important. Having an evening routine, having a morning routine, you know, how do you nurture yourself, right? So we charge all our devices. How do you charge yourself? How do you fill up your own cup? How do you nurture your relationship with yourself? That is such an important part of confidence. So, what did we talk about? Let's go back. So, confidence, I would love to refer it as self confidence because that's where it comes from. If it comes from what other people think of you, or are they praising you, or are they criticizing you, if that's the base, then it's a very shaky base. So confidence comes from within. No, it does not come from, say, I need to give a talk. If I need to know every single word that was ever written about it, amazing, great, awesome, but that will give me knowledge and skills. That's not it. My belief in myself is what's gonna let me take that leap of faith. Now, I'm going to talk about something that's going to happen today. Yeah. And why is it? Normally, when I come into the podcast, it's just about a few minutes before when I'm thinking, what is my intention for the podcast today? What is the best in me that I can deliver? And what is the intention? So, today, why is my intention to kind of, nudge you towards the deepest confidence within yourself? So today, UK time 2:30, I'm delivering this global virtual summit, Women's Conclave. And so there are various options. You can have your slides and present it. You can go live. Uh, and they are doing it on this completely new platform, which is called AirMeet. So just about half an hour before, I was starting to feel a bit worried, like, okay, so this AirMeet, I went through the email, I went through all the technicalities as much as I could. I'm thinking, okay, do I need to go ahead with my presentation alongside? I normally like to go free flow, but like, they kept saying, it's, if you have presentation slides, keep that ready. I'm like, okay, do I need to keep it ready? And I genuinely felt, no, I go in with the intention that what I have to say, if this can go and touch that one life, that one person who needs to hear it, to come out of overwhelm, to believe in themselves, to find the deepest core of them, and to take the next step. That's the purpose all. Yes, there are times when I like using slides, but I think today is not the day, and mostly I like to go with the intention. Next week, I will be delivering my second international talk in Paris. So I was thinking of a scenario like, let's say there's a speaker in front of me, and obviously I'm waiting for my turn next. A whole lot of things are happening, like, the technology, the slides, things going right, me going on stage next. I'm listening to their presentation. Given a hypothetical scenario, which is not unlikely, they do this phenomenal presentation. Everybody's spellbound, okay? And here I am waiting to go next. Now, what are my options? One is I can, like, that's it. What more I have to say? I have to match up to them. Otherwise, what's the point? Or I can go into this downward spiral of self-doubt and worry, and because I've got only maybe like what, 5 minutes before I get on after that amazing speaker. Or I can go into my reservoir of proud list, all the challenges that I've overcome, physical, mental, emotional, personal, professional, in the last 10 years. I am worthy of being invited there, being there, doing that presentation. Again, finding my validation, my self worth from within rather than from outside. So when I'm on stage, As I said, today I'm going to be on a virtual stage, and next week on a actual stage, physical stage. So if I am kind of stuck up thinking what I'm saying, how are people perceiving me, is my message being delivered, then what happens is I am kind of creating a wall around myself, and the whole perception is about how I am being perceived. So this would be stage one, but you don't want to be there, right? So I need to be self assured and confident enough and not needing the validation from my audience. Only then I give myself the permission to be authentically and unapologetically me. So I really want to live up to the best definition of self love that I have ever come across yet, which is from Roxy Nafusi, which I heard from. I think she said in a podcast, which is self love is when I enter a room or a stage. So I do my interaction or I do my talk, and then I leave, being me, not having to worry about anybody's opinion, what they think. So you free yourself of that. Yes, there will be nerves in the moment. Yes, there will be a whole lot of other things, but that's where your self belief, your self confidence, your self assuredness comes into play. Okay. Would I feel a bit nerve wracked? Expected. I'm going next on stage. The last time I was on stage, when I say that, that doesn't mean everybody listening has to be a speaker, no matter what you're doing. Like, if you're writing a book, if you're doing a work presentation, if you're going to a job interview, I mean, we deal with a whole lot of things which can be nerve wracking, which can bring up the anxiety levels. So, what I'm saying is, when you keep the focus inside so firm and so strong, that is your power. That is where your poise of power comes from. Remember, the journey is always inside out, not outside in. So, only when you become a master of yourself, which is mainly managing your emotions, reminding yourself of your self belief, of your self confidence, can you become a master of your circumstances. Right? I have been a control freak in the past, and now I understand that comes from the urge to control everything around me, because that is what is going to give me the sense of control. But the reality is you can't. You never can. The only control you have is how you respond to situations. How you respond to situations. So I would like to quote this from Shraddhalu Ranade, who I love to hear. He has such amazing insights to share. So to be a samrat, you need to be a swarat. To be a samrat, to be a master of the circumstances, you need to be a swarat, which is a master of yourself. I think this is something that's really stuck, and it is still a work in progress. But day by day, step by step, the more closer you can get. Another example he gives, which is a very visual example and works really well for me. So if you think of a wheel, this is the center of the wheel, and these are the edges, the spokes of the wheel. So if you live at the edge of the wheel, where we feel all the stresses of life, worries, anxieties, and the life is kind of running past, and you're like completely lost in anxiety and stress. Now, this is at the edge of the wheel. But if you learn to keep getting closer and closer and closer, going deeper to your central self, the wheel is still moving. The life is still moving. But where do you think will you be more calm, composed, coming from a place of poise when you're at the very center rather than living on the edge, isn't it? So that is what I mean when I talk about nurturing your self belief and self confidence. Now, when you define what does a meaningful purposeful life mean to you, it has to be your definition, as we talked about. It need not fit into any criteria that has been told to you. You are not an island, or I am not an island. I mean, when I say whatever has happened changes in the last 3 years, and all the new experiences I could do, the new challenges, I am a fairly introverted person, And if you know of the disc personality scale, I'm more into the S and C. So I am very kind of task oriented and a very introverted person. So why I'm mentioning this is because my idea of confidence was, you have to be. I'll give you an example. So I was at a BMA conference. This was a few years back. There was a gentleman on stage. I looked at him and I'm like, wow, this is who I want to be. So my idea of confidence was this, loud, brash person who is super confident. Nothing moves him or her, and that's who I want to be. Uh, the problem is, if I copy them, I just become a fake version of them. But if I am choosing to be the truest version of me, that is when I do justice. We look up to people like, I look up to Oprah Winfrey, I look up to Mel Robbins, but we look up to people because they are being the truest version of themselves. So you becoming the truest and highest version of yourself is doing justice to your true potential. Which you're saying so many things, I don't know, I'm feeling overwhelmed. What's the next step that I can take? Whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, again, I'm a very visual person, so I'll give you the example. So it's like you're driving a car. Your headlights go so far. You take the next step, and the car is moving. When you see, you take the next step. That is how you keep moving. Like if you make a plan of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I have done that. I am saying that because I've done that. I'm a big planner. I love making big plans. If you're like that, do that, but then chunk it into smaller goals. And do not wait to reward yourself at the end of their smaller goals. So, this big vision that you have a smaller chunk of goals. At the end of each goal, you reward yourself, you praise yourself, you celebrate yourself. Meeting your own unmet needs, you learning to validate yourself, you learning to praise yourself. I'm not talking about false praise here. I am not talking about, just fake affirmations that don't mean anything to you. But every single day, like, there is something that you did right. There is some challenge that you overcame, small, big, doesn't matter. Just standing in front of the mirror at the end of the day and saying, I'm so proud of you that you did that. Celebrating yourself for that win is profound. We all have unmet needs as young children. So the most important are safety, being seen, being heard, so many more, but these are the main ones. Our carers do the very best they can in the best case scenario, but they are human beings. They have their own flaws, they have their own traumas, they have their own healing to do. So the thing is, you learn to meet your own unmet needs. You learn to be your own loving parent. That is, for me, that has been such a profound step towards understanding that the confidence resides in you. Does that replace you having the knowledge and skills for whatever that is you need to grow? No, of course, you make time for that. But then that's not everything. Because I hope you will agree, you can have all the knowledge and all the skills that you can gather, all the courses, all the certifications. But if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't tap that confidence within, you cannot take the next step. You cannot take the next step because when you are following your dreams, it is more like going into an unventured territory. There are going to be leaps of faith. Do you go, when I say just tap into your own confidence, does that mean you go unprepared? No. You do the preparation you need, but you do not forget to remind yourself of the self belief and self confidence because all the knowledge, all the skills will fail without it. That's why it's so important. Maintaining relationships with other people is also profound because, as I said, we are not an island. Anything and every nice thing that has happened in the last 3 years, all the challenges even I had to overcome, it was all step by step. So let me give you an example. So my coach Lara, she introduced me to Melanie, with whom I got the opportunity to do my chapter for the book Voices of Impact. While we were having the celebratory meet, There was Emma Hamlin in there, who is amazing, who with whom now I am doing a weekly course work towards working towards my own book. And just today, the press release happened for NYC for folks. So all I said was, if this whole chain wasn't there, I could be sitting there and preparing and reading all the courses on writing the best book and doing the best podcast. But without the help of all these people, without like and it's like find your tribe. Find your tribe, because we live in this epidemic of loneliness, which is not have it's not about not having people around you. In spite of the so many people around you, you not feeling heard and understood. Having people around you who have a similar vision to you, who are there to help you take the next step. See, when I mean, a whole lot of times I was like that. I see somebody, I'm like, wow, they are so talented, they are so amazing. That's why they had that success, whatever success was for them. But the thing is, they have been working for a whole lot longer to be that person. Anybody who tells you somebody was an overnight success is not true. You have to become, you have to step up to be the best version of yourself. So again, something I learned from Jay Shetty, which is a mindfulness meditation. So mindfulness meditation is all about like stepping in and having a positive visualization of the best version of yourself. So, say you are visualizing the best version of yourself, who you want to be. Say you want to have a promotion at work, or you want to have a certain job, or you want to be the best mom, or you want to be a speaker, you want to be an author, whatever that is. Now, you kind of step into their shoe. How does this person think? You've got this. You are that person. You have achieved. You did what needed to be done. You have achieved that. What is their expression? What do they look like? What is it that they are feeling? How do they dress? How do they carry themselves? What is their self talk like? How do they talk to themselves? How do they nurture themselves? How do they carry themselves around other people? How do they refer to themselves? And generally taking a few deep breaths first, being in a quiet place, centering yourself first, helps you get rid of the clutter. So my suggestion would be doing the 5-5-5 technique. So deep breathe for 5, hold for 5, release for 5. When you do that for about 5 times, it declutters and defogs the mental clutter. If possible, you can do a bit of expressive writing, which is any other clutter remaining, get it out on paper, out of your system. And then you kind of zone in. So, whatever is natural for you, you focus here or here and try and go deeper, as deep as you can. And then, when you're in a quiet, composed, comfortable space, you visualize this person, because you're not making it up. The best version of you, your hidden potential, who has achieved all that you want to achieve, not only in the physical terms, but even in matters of anger management, emotional regulation, being calm in any situation, no matter what. Whatever this looks like for you, they have been there. They are there. So think of it like the version of you. I'm just saying, why is this possible? So where you are right now, if say 10 years back, 20 years back, the person you were is visualizing this person. You have come so far. Now you're visualizing the best version of yourself. Yeah. What it means to you right now. And that's when you go, what we talked about. How do they talk to themselves? What do they feel? What does their day look like? All of that. And then, once you have embodied that, you're like, okay. So you ask, okay, what are the steps that they had to take to be there? Right. I think this is more like being open and receptive to your intuitive guidance. Whatever I'm saying does not mean you have to be a believer or spirituality or religion or anything. But what I'm saying is, all of us are here for a rhyme, a reason, a purpose. We are not accidents. We all have unique strengths, unique capabilities for a reason, right? And if our time on earth was up and we had to go back without having completely lived and express those unique talents, unique strengths, it will be a waste. So I think this is the best gift you can give to yourselves. So yeah, this is, if nothing else, I would really want this takeaway to go in, which is the mindfulness meditation. Do that. It will also give you a whole lot of clarity on what your idea of a successful, meaningful, purposeful life is. I'll come back to my simple, very mundane question, which is, what is it that you would do even if you were not paid for it? You're not leaving your day job or anything, but just this. I think with just this simple question, people have some clear ideas about, oh, wow, I love doing this. Oh, yeah, that lights me up. Bring about 20 minutes in your week for that, and then make space, make space, make space. It's about giving yourself the gift of learning and growth. Gift of learning and growth. Make more time for yourself, make more time to connect with yourself, because when you develop self awareness is profound. If we are constantly looking outward on our phone or iPad or television or somewhere outside, we have no time to look inside. Your intuitive guidance is like knocking, 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 knocking. But the thing is, it's like the moonlight is coming, but the water is constantly ruffled. So when you calm it down, that doesn't mean you have to have no thoughts or no emotions. No, it's just like waiting, calming yourself down, giving a few minutes in the day, maybe 10 minutes in the day, to just listen. From moving from doing to being. Let your doing come from the being, and it will have so much more meaning, so much more joy, so much more fulfillment. So letting the doing come from the being. And the being cannot come if you're not connected to yourself, right? So that's where meditation, deep breathing, mindfulness meditation, maybe going for a walk, making time for yourself comes into play. When you are more self aware, you reconnect with your self belief. For self belief, again, the self love mirror exercise, making the proud list are always, always, always useful. Now that I prefer to keep the podcast about 30 minutes long because, that's easier for most people. So we are almost coming to the end of this episode. As always, if you have any particular topics that you're struggling with, that you want me to speak about, you can always write it in the comments. The podcast is available on LinkedIn and YouTube, and you can go and comment and or maybe directly message me if you would like to have any feedback about the podcast, anything more you would like to hear, any particular topics. I'm not here to preach anybody anything, but I'm really here to share my own journey, my own failures, because failures are what help us grow. Failures are what help us teach what need to be worked on. And I think we need to give ourselves the permission to fail, because that is how you learn new things. That is how you learn new things. Learn to love yourself truly, deeply, and unconditionally. No, that does not make you complacent. That does not make you complacent. Truly loving yourself and accepting yourself nurtures your ability to grow into the best version of yourself. Self awareness also brings in reflection, introspection, better understanding of yourself. Remember, when we get a machine, a car, we want to understand how it works. Well, this is the most miraculous machinery that you've got, which is attuned to your joy fulfillment. Do not try to fit yourself into a success box that somebody else has created. You are you for a reason. You have your own talent, your own unique strengths for a reason. Live up to them, align with them, and the joy and fulfillment is bound to come. Do not try and become a fake version of somebody else. Do not try and live up to a successful dream of somebody else. Because, however nice, beautiful, and shiny it might be, that is their dream, and possibly it might be best suited to them. Dig out your dream. What lights you up? What brings you joy? What brings you fulfillment? How do you nurture yourself? How do you pull into self love and self acceptance that builds into self belief, that builds into self confidence? Become your own loving parent. Meet your own unmet needs of validation. I'll end with this simple visual of when you close your eyes, you are here in the deepest, most comforting poise, and you have this river in front of you, of all the thoughts, all the emotions, all the feelings. Whenever a strong emotion comes through, it could be anger, it could be restlessness, it could be anxiety, reminding yourself, we're not making the bridge when there's a storm, but on a daily basis, if for a couple of minutes, you remind to stand back. This river of thoughts, feelings, and emotions is not you. When you stand back and you don't drown in it, it's much better to respond and not react and come from a poise and take that decision. So, remembering to respond and not react, just take a step back, a second. Thank you very much for your time. And I would like yourself to give yourself a pat on the back for making this time to nurture yourself, to love yourself, to fill your own cup of self love and self acceptance. I am very grateful for your presence. Thank you very, very much.